But something very interesting is going on here, and it's something that you don't see that often. Hi guys, it's Jim here from Dr. Tankenstein with another episode of Beers of the British Isles. On today's episode, we're drinking G40 Golden Ale. Now this beer is brought to you by West Brewing Company, or West Brewery. One that I've never heard before. I picked it up some in Tesco, £1.80, however much beers cost over there. Yeah, I've never heard of this beer, but they seem to be kind of a big deal. It's a brewery based in Scotland that has a Glaswegian heart and a German head. And yeah, I think given the choice, that's definitely the way around that I would do it too. I wonder what accent it has. Probably a confusing one. So this brewery started, I'm not sure when, actually, I think around 2006. By a lady, Petra Wetzel, a German lady who loved Scotland. She came over and studied in Glasgow and kind of started her life there. But when her dad came to visit her, he hated the beer. So instead of just giving up on Scotland and going back to Germany, she decided that she would just make a brewery. And then her dad would have nothing bad to say about Scotland. She did this, by the way, after having never drunk a whole pint of lager in her life. So it's a pretty bold move by old Petra there, but it seems to have paid off. This brewery is a brewery, like I say, based in Scotland, but it has at its heart, or so we'd say, we'll get into this later, the German purity law, the Reinheitsgebot, so they don't use any adjuncts. They just use water, malt, hops, and yeast to brew their beer. This is a kind of this is a touchy subject at the best of times, but I'm going to assume that these people, being German, knew what they were getting themselves into when they decided to abide by this law. They knew all the rules and regulations of it. So everything looks good. This is a real German spirited brewery. That you can even kind of reflect this in the cool bottle that this beer comes in. So it's got very modern artwork on it. G40. I'm assuming this river that's running around the bottle there is the river that runs through Glasgow. I don't know what that is. But the shape of the bottle is very European, almost reminiscent of kind of like a very strong Belgian or German beer that might come in one of these things. So everything looks good, especially, by the way, the brewery. Just go to their website and look at pictures of the brewery. It might be the most attractive building I've ever seen. Obviously never been there in person, but man, it looks great. Old former carpet factory. I don't really understand why it exists, but I'm sure glad that it does. So this German brewery based in Scotland, Golden Ale seems like an odd choice for them. I'm going to be honest. All the other beers that they do seem kind of very German-centric, lagers, Munich red ales, porters, I guess. And this Golden Ale seems to stick out to me. So let's see what's going on. Okay, I'm all poured in. We're in the glass. We're nice and cold. I think this beer deserves a slightly lower temperature. The head looks great. So this is a Golden Ale. I say it seemed like a strange choice because Golden Ale isn't a typically German style, but they are a modern craft brewery. They can do whatever the hell they want. So a Golden Ale should typically be brilliantly clear with a moderate head. I've kind of made a bit of a compromise here. So the brewers have decided to not fine, this beer. This is unfiltered, unfined, so it should pour cloudy. So what I've done is, I'm not even sure if you'll make this out, whether it's worth me doing, but I've left this in the fridge for a few days and poured aggressively, and it's left behind a hell of a lot of sediment. Now, I didn't brew this beer, it's not my art project, so if the brewers want me to drink it cloudy, then that's how I should drink it. So I have poured it aggressively in the hopes that some of the sediment will carry over, and it certainly has. But all that does is bring out that beautiful golden colour of this good-looking golden ale. And that kind of like fine particulates in there is just really bringing out, making it glow. So maybe they were onto something when they did that. So it looks the part. The head is kind of moderate, which is fine. You know, the golden ale, you don't need a big thick head like you would on, say, I don't know, a Pilsner or something. You know, with those massive inches of head. This beer looks fine. I don't have any information on the malt bill. I'm assuming it's going to be nice and bready though. So let's. Interesting. Okay, yeah. So you do get a touch of that bready backbone. So I say I don't have any information on the malt bill, except, and this is where I'm gonna stick my foot in my mouth, and all four of you watching this are gonna say you don't know what you're talking about. But I was always under the impression that the Reinheitsgebot that I mentioned earlier was a purity law that said you were only allowed to use water, barley, hops, and later yeast. It was amended. I didn't realise yeast was in there, I think, at first. These guys are saying that you can use water, malt, hops, and yeast. So one of the components of the grist is malted wheat. I'm almost certain that wheat was excluded from that law, and therefore this beer breaks it. But like I say, I'm not German. I would love some feedback in the comments about this, whether I'm wrong on that one. If I am wrong, I'll hold my hands up. If I'm not, then I'll hold my hand up. But anyway, so this has wheat in it. It has barley in it as well, obviously. It does have a certain bready sweetness to it. But the main thing that comes through here is a hell of a lot of bitterness. I would say that this is slightly over-bittered for a golden ale. So the golden ale should be hoppy, but not super bitter like this, I don't think. As the hops that are in this are Herkules, Cascade, Chinook, and Saaz. So Saaz, that traditional German hop, and the rest, obviously, American hops, I believe that the rest of them are. So they are lending almost like a very soft, tropical character to this. It doesn't, the aroma's quite citrusy. Yeah, there is a very soft tropicalness to it on the grapefruit side of things, I think. But it's really quite bitter. So the brewery say that this is a shining example of a golden ale. They say it has a fuller body, a beautiful backbone, and is bread-like. So when I'm rating this beer now, I'm going to say, how true are those statements? So first off, is it a shining example of a golden ale? I'm going to say no. I think for me, this is just a little bit too bitter to be a shining example of a golden ale. Does it have a full body and a beautiful backbone? I'd say it does have a full body, and the backbone, if we're saying that bread-like backbone, there is a touch of it, but not so much. I think here that they've they've tried to do something different, and they certainly have achieved that. It's quite hoppy, it's quite bitter, but something very interesting is going on here, and it's something that you don't see that often. It's a German beer is being blended in with sort of an English style. A German style has been blended with an English style through the hops rather than through the malt. So typically, if I taste a German-inspired beer, it does have that breadiness. It does have that super maltiness. But if that was the mark that they were trying to make on this beer, you wouldn't really notice because it's supposed to be like that. So instead, I think that those Saaz hops, the traditional German hops, are providing a real nice earthiness to this style that you would otherwise only be able to have this kind of tropicalness or this citrus flavour, and I think that sits really well in this beer. So if I was to rate it on a scale of 0 to Golden Ale, I'd probably give it a 5, because for me the bitterness detracts from the maltiness that it's supposed to have, and it doesn't quite blend well. But I do think it's an interesting beer, and I do think that it's worth getting. I think that it's worth trying out. And I think that this kind of cool German-inspired bottle, or European-inspired bottle rather, is the perfect way to drink it. I think that you should have it cold. You should have it in a nice glass and just drink it by the bottle like this. It's not a sipper. It's not a pint beer. This is how it should be made. So I think the brewers have done something interesting here. So go let me know what you think. Go grab yourself a G40. Stick on 99 red balloons and let me know what you think. If you like this Golden Ale, hey, head on down to your bottle shop and tell them that you like really hoppy, bitter Golden Ales, and I'm sure they'll have something for you. In the meantime, guys, cheers.